My nephew sold my late mother's wedding ring to buy himself a phone, and my family thinks I overreacted. I'm 59, and my mother passed away 2 years ago. She wasn't rich, but she was the kind of person who made you feel like a millionaire just by being around her. My father died decades ago, so Mom's wedding ring had been her most treasured possession, and by extension, mine. She wore it every single day until the day she died. It wasn't made of huge diamonds or anything flashy. Just a simple gold band with a small stone, slightly worn from decades of love and life. But to me, it was priceless. After the funeral, I kept it in a small velvet box on my dresser. I didn't wear it, because I didn't want to risk damaging it, but sometimes I'd take it out, hold it, and remember her voice, her laugh, and all the times she'd pat my hand while telling me everything will be alright. How it went missing. My sister, Paula, not her real name, has a son named Jason. He's 19, still living at home, and, let's just say Paula has never been great at setting boundaries. Jason has a history of borrowing things and never returning them, money, gadgets, tools, you name it. A couple of weeks ago, Paula asked if Jason could stay at my place for the weekend because she and her husband were going away. I agreed, mostly because I wanted to trust him and figured maybe a little responsibility would do him good. On the second day, I noticed something odd. The velvet box with Mom's ring wasn't where I'd left it. I thought maybe I'd moved it while cleaning, but after tearing my bedroom apart, I knew it was gone. I asked Jason if he'd seen it. He gave me this wide-eyed, "No, why would I touch that," look. I didn't want to accuse him outright without proof, so I let it go, for the moment. The discovery. 2 days later, Paula called me in tears. Apparently, Jason had proudly shown off his brand new iPhone to his friends on Snapchat. Paula had asked him how he could possibly afford it since he didn't have a job. Under pressure, Jason admitted he'd pawned my mother's wedding ring for $600 and used the money to buy the phone. When Paula told me, I felt something in me snap. Not just anger, something deeper. Grief. Violation. That ring wasn't just a piece of gold. It was the last physical thing my mother had worn every day of her life. Jason hadn't just stolen from me, he'd stolen from her. The confrontation. I went straight to Paula's house. Jason was sitting in the living room, scrolling through his shiny new phone without a care in the world. "Where is it?" I asked, keeping my voice as calm as possible. He shrugged. "Sold it. What's the big deal? It's just a ring. You weren't even wearing it." That was the moment my blood boiled. I told him in no uncertain terms that he had 24 hours to get the ring back or I was filing a police report for theft. He laughed and said, "Good luck, it's probably melted down already." The fallout. Paula started begging me not to call the police. She admitted Jason had done a bad thing, but said family shouldn't ruin family over money. I reminded her it wasn't about the money, it was about the memory, the history, and the trust he'd shattered. I ended up going to the pawn shop myself. Luckily, the ring was still there because they were holding it for the mandatory waiting period before reselling. I had to pay $650 to get it back. When I brought it home, I locked it in a safe. But it didn't feel the same anymore. It's like the purity of the memory was tainted by his greed. Where we stand now. I told Paula and Jason that until he pays me back in full, plus an apology I actually believe, he's not welcome in my home. Paula says I'm being too harsh and holding a grudge. Jason hasn't shown any remorse, in fact, he blocked me on social media. My family is split. Some think I should forgive and move on, others agree Jason needs to face real consequences. As for me, I'm just sitting here with my mom's ring in my hand, wondering when family stopped meaning respect. Continuation. When I got home from the pawn shop with the ring, I placed it back in its velvet box, but it didn't feel like the same box. I sat there on my bed, holding it in my palm, and I remembered the last time I'd seen my mom wearing it. It was in the hospital, 2 days before she passed. Her hands were frail, the skin paper thin, but her fingers still curled naturally around mine. She had smiled faintly and tapped the ring with her thumb. "Your father bought me this when he had almost nothing," she told me. "It's not the gold that makes it precious, it's the years it saw. The good days, the storms, the way we held on to each other through it all." That memory hit me like a punch to the chest. And the fact that Jason could just see it as a quick $600 to blow on a phone. It was nauseating. Paula's visit. The next evening, Paula came over. She didn't knock, just let herself in, like she always has. She had this tight, forced smile, like she'd practiced it in the car. "I heard you got the ring back," she said, stepping into the living room. "Yes," I replied, not looking up from the mug of coffee in my hands. She hesitated. "Look, I know you're upset, but Jason's just a kid." "He's 19, Paula. Not a kid. Old enough to know that stealing from family is wrong." Her smile cracked into a frown. "It's just, he doesn't think of it like that. He didn't mean to hurt you." That made me laugh bitterly. What did he think pawning it would do? Make me proud? Paula rolled her eyes. "You've always been dramatic. You're making this a bigger deal than it is." That sentence right there, that's when I knew we weren't going to see eye to eye. Family group chat chaos. By the next morning, word had spread through the family. My cousin Karen sent a message in our extended family group chat, "OMG, Jason is just a teenager. We've all done stupid things at that age. Let it go." I typed out, "Selling your dead grandmother's wedding ring for a phone isn't a stupid teenage mistake. It's theft." Cue the wave of messages. Half the family agreed with me. The other half said I was too hard on him and should forgive for the sake of peace. One of my uncles even chimed in with, "It's just a ring, you still have your memories." That one made me want to throw my phone. Because here's the thing, physical objects matter because they're tied to memories. The ring wasn't just metal, it was decades of love, laughter, and sacrifice in one small circle of gold. Jason's response. I didn't hear from Jason for almost a week. Then, out of the blue, I got a text. "I don't know why you're making such a big deal. I'll give you the money back when I can, but you've made everyone hate me now, so congrats." No apology. No acknowledgement of what he'd done. Just blame. I didn't reply. Paula texted me a few hours later saying Jason was hurting, and that my coldness was pushing him away from the family. She actually had the nerve to ask me to give him the ring back so he could redeem himself by selling it for something more responsible, like a laptop for school. That's when I told her I was done talking to either of them until Jason showed genuine remorse. The dinner. 2 weeks later, there was a family dinner at my aunt's house. I debated skipping it, but I didn't want to hand the narrative over to Paula completely. When I walked in, Jason was there, smirking, leaning against the wall with his phone in hand. Paula gave me a quick hug and whispered, "Please don't start anything." We sat at opposite ends of the table. About halfway through the meal, my uncle, the same one from the group chat, made a joke about me putting the ring in a safety deposit box like it was the crown jewels. A few people laughed. Jason smirked again. And then. I don't know what came over me, but I pulled the ring out of my pocket, set it gently on the table, and said, "This isn't about money. This is the last thing Mom wore before she died. And this kid," I pointed at Jason, "decided his TikTok feed was more important than our family's history." The room went silent. Jason flushed red. Paula hissed, "You're humiliating him." I shot back, "Good. Maybe humiliation will do what parenting clearly hasn't." The aftermath. That night, Paula sent me a long text saying I'd burned bridges, and that Mom wouldn't want the family fighting over a ring. But I know Mom. She hated dishonesty. If she were alive, Jason wouldn't have a phone, he'd have blisters on his hands from working off what he stole. Where things stand now. Jason still hasn't apologized. Paula is still defending him. Some relatives barely speak to me. But I sleep better knowing I didn't just sweep this under the rug. The ring now sits in a locked safe with a note inside, telling the story of what happened, and why I fought to get it back. Because maybe one day, when I'm gone, someone will read that note and remember that family isn't just about blood. It's about respect. The wound that wouldn't heal. When I locked the ring in my safe, I thought maybe time would help me cool off. I was wrong. Every time I passed the safe, I felt this twist in my chest, not just anger at Jason, but sadness for my mom. She had always been proud of family unity, even when we fought. She'd have hated to see her grandson take advantage of her memory like that. And it wasn't like this was Jason's first act of selfishness. Jason's pattern. Looking back, the signs were always there. When he was 14, he borrowed my old laptop because his had broken. A month later, I found it in a pawn shop too. Paula claimed he forgot to tell me. When he was 16, I gave him $200 to help with a school trip. Later, I learned there was no trip, he'd used it to buy sneakers. But Paula's attitude had always been the same. He's young. Don't be so hard on him. He'll grow out of it. Now he was 19, and nothing had changed, except the value of the things he stole. The extended family war. The fallout over the ring didn't die down. It turned into a quiet Cold War in the family. Some relatives took my side, calling Jason's actions disgusting and unforgivable. Others claimed I was making drama over just a piece of jewelry. The most hurtful. My cousin Mark, who said, "If Grandma's spirit is watching, she's not upset about the ring, she's upset that you're tearing the family apart over it." I wanted to scream that I wasn't the one who pawned her memory for an iPhone, but I held my tongue. People had already decided which side they were on. The fake apology. About a month after the dinner confrontation, Jason showed up at my house unannounced. He leaned in the doorway, hands in pockets, looking like he'd practiced this scene. "So. Mom says you want an apology," he started. I crossed my arms. "I want the truth. And I want to know you understand what you did." He sighed like I was exhausting him. "All right. I'm sorry for selling the ring. It was dumb. I needed a phone. Happy now?" It was the most hollow apology I'd ever heard. No sincerity, no ownership, just words to check a box. I told him, "When you're ready to actually mean it, come back." He rolled his eyes, muttered something under his breath, and left. Another blow. I thought things couldn't get worse. But 3 weeks later, I got a call from my cousin Anna. "Did you give Jason your father's pocket watch?" she asked. My stomach dropped. I hadn't even thought to check the display cabinet in my hallway. Sure enough, the watch my father had carried every day of his life was gone. I confronted Paula immediately. She swore she had no idea. But when I called Jason, he admitted he'd borrowed it to show a friend, and had accidentally left it at their place. When I demanded it back, he said, "It's just an old watch. Why do you care so much about dead people's stuff?" That sentence, it broke something in me. The decision. That night, I went through my house and gathered every single heirloom, my mom's photo albums, my dad's war medals, letters, jewelry, even the old quilt my grandmother had made. I packed them in boxes and moved them to a bank safety deposit box. The next day, I went to my lawyer and changed my will. Jason's name was removed completely. Paula's too. Instead, my goddaughter, a sweet, respectful 22-year-old, would inherit the items, along with the story of what happened and why. The family explosion. When Paula found out, she called me in a fury. "You're cutting your own nephew out of the family for one mistake," she shouted. 2 mistakes, I corrected. That I know of. And they weren't mistakes. They were choices. She accused me of turning my back on family. I told her family doesn't steal from each other and expect no consequences. We haven't spoken since that call. 2 years later. Jason is now 21. Word is, he's been in and out of trouble, petty theft, unpaid debts, bouncing between jobs. Paula still defends him, saying the world is against him. I ran into him at a grocery store last month. He was wearing the same smug grin he had the night of the family dinner. Still holding grudges, old man, he said. Still a thief, Jason. I replied. He shrugged and walked away. Why I'm sharing this? Because maybe someone reading this will realize that enabling bad behavior in the name of keeping the peace only makes things worse. If I'd called Jason out years ago, maybe the ring wouldn't have been at risk. Maybe he would have learned respect earlier. But I can't change the past. All I can do is protect what's left. And make sure the stories of my parents and grandparents aren't lost to someone who sees them as cash and nothing more. The ring is still in the safe, along with a note for whoever inherits it. If you're holding this, it means you earned the right to own it, by respecting the people who came before you. When the past knocks on your door. 3 more years passed. I'm 62 now. My hair's more gray than I'd like to admit, my patience thinner, and my trust in certain people almost non-existent. Jason. He's 24, and his life has been a slow-motion car crash. I've heard things through the grapevine. He was fired from 2 jobs for stealing from the register. He totaled a friend's car while driving without insurance. He borrowed money from relatives and never paid them back. Paula, predictably, blames bad influences and unlucky breaks. But everyone else can see the pattern. The call. It happened on a rainy Tuesday. I was halfway through making tea when my phone rang. The caller ID said Paula. I almost didn't answer. Her voice was shaky. He's in jail, she said. Jason. He got caught trying to sell stolen jewelry. They're saying he could do real time. I stayed quiet for a moment. She continued, they're setting bail at $15,000. I don't have it. I thought, maybe you could help. I nearly laughed. You're calling me, after everything, to bail him out for stealing jewelry again. It's different this time, she insisted. It wasn't from family. That sentence alone told me she still didn't get it. The visit. I didn't agree to pay bail, but I did go to see Jason at the county jail. Not because I wanted to help, but because I wanted to see his face. When they brought him in, he looked older, worn down, but still had that same edge of arrogance. So, I said, how's that phone working out for you? He smirked. Still holding grudges? I shook my head. No, Jason. I'm holding boundaries. You confused the two a long time ago. He leaned forward. Look, I need out. I can't do time. You have the money. Help me and I'll pay you back. I laughed, genuinely laughed. The last time you promised that, you were 19. You haven't paid a cent. His face hardened. So that's it? You're just gonna let me rot? I stood up. Jason, the world's been letting you get away with everything since you were a teenager. Maybe rotting is the first step toward you actually growing. The backlash. Paula was furious when she found out I refused. She called me heartless and accused me of wanting Jason to suffer. No, I told her. I want him to learn. There's a difference. She hung up on me. We haven't spoken since. The unexpected letter. 6 months later, a letter arrived in my mailbox. The handwriting was messy, but I recognized it instantly. It was from Jason. He wrote about how jail had forced him to face things. How he realized no one was going to swoop in and save him anymore. He admitted he'd been selfish, entitled, and that he disrespected everyone who tried to help him. Then came the line that stopped me cold. I finally understand why you locked up that ring. I didn't just steal gold. I stole trust. And I don't know if I can ever earn it back, but I want to try. The choice. That letter has been sitting on my desk for 2 weeks now. Part of me wants to tear it up, because words are easy, action is hard. But another part of me, the part my mom raised, wonders if maybe, just maybe, this is the first step to something better. I haven't written him back yet. I'm still deciding. Because once you let someone back in after that much damage, you can't unopen the door.